Now, this week has been a week where we've delved into so many aspects of relationships. On Wednesday, we spoke about figuring out anxiety, especially handling anxiety in your relationship. And that bred a whole conversation around finding the triggers and figuring that out. And then yesterday, we spoke about a whole other tangent of this, which is marriages. Is being in a bad marriage better than being in a divorce or being divorced? And we got into it, sunk our teeth into it, and we figured that, to be honest, two people need to find each other and help each other out. Otherwise, it's better to be divorced. However, this week, as we finalize it, we also need to delve into the biggest issue that tends to be in relationships. Other than finance and sex, esteem is usually a big issue in relationships, because oftentimes when you are feeling down in the dumps, you tend to go inward a lot, and you tend to start highlighting the most dark, sad, and annoying parts of yourself, and just like hammering on. And this can lead to major issues in your relationship. So how do you know that you are going through the dumps, right? Number one, if you are just consistently seeking reassurance, and I'm not talking about the basic of, babe, do you think, I'm beautiful? And they're like, yeah, you are beautiful. Okay, cool. That's enough, right? But like, do you really think I'm beautiful? Like, tell me things you think I'm beautiful. Now you're now pandering. And it's not like a thing. It feels like almost there's nothing they can say to you that will really make you feel like you are beautiful. It just is you feeling that you're not and trying to find reassurance from outside yourself, and just consistently pandering when it comes to reassurance. There's a way it becomes excessive, and you can really tell when it's getting on that ledge of, yeah, I just want my partner to tell me I'm beautiful. I just want my partner to tell me I'm successful. I just want them to tell me this. However, when you have to hear exact words coming out of someone else's mouth for you to feel good, that's really a question of, why can't I just be okay with telling this to myself without seeking that validation from outside, Yeah, so be mindful of that. Am I beautiful? Do you think be mindful of those things. Why are they being triggered? When it occurs quite a bit, start asking yourself, what's the trigger? What's the problem here? What am I not addressing in this issue? And you will find out what the problem is, and then you can sort it out.
Mm-hmm. And also just being overly jealous and insecure. You're just always jealous about everything and everyone. There is a healthy amount of jealousy.
Yeah.
For example, if somebody's checking you out and they're being a bit too forward, and your man comes and shuts it down, that's kind of feasible. I see how that could happen. But if you start to even misconstrue even the most innocent of interactions, for example, you've had dinner and your partner has tipped somebody 600 shillings, and now you're like, kwani mnajuana, why did you do that? No, it was simply a tip for good service. It's just as simple as that. Or the mailman comes and he's delivering something, mtu anduthi amekuja rider delivery, and maybe you chat for a minute there as you're exchanging, he's prompting the transaction, just saying, hey, the weather, yeah, it's been raining, and you finish that. It's pretty casual, very innocent. You close the door, and now here comes your partner. Why are you talking to him like that? Why are you being so friendly with him? I'm just like, it's just small talk. There's absolutely nothing there. So if you find yourself constantly jealous, constantly triggered by the interactions your partner has with other people, maybe it's time for you to call yourself a small meeting and ask yourself, what is it about him, or what is it about me that makes me feel that way about every interaction he has? You call him 1 million times, because if he has time to go to the bathroom, he has time to cheat. Honestly, Oprah, what were y'all thinking when you put that out on the internet? It was Tyra?
Mm.
Yeah, why would y'all put that out? If he has time to go to the bathroom, he has time to cheat. Now you're chatting with him on the door, at the door when he's in the bathroom taking a dump, because he could be up to something. That is not healthy.
Another one, it's very good to apologize. In fact, when you're wrong, apologize, and apologize honestly. But like, when you start to apologize with that, it's almost like it's triggered by that fear of, oh, I don't want them to be mad at me because then it will lead to a breakup, or they will be mad at me, or like, so I have to apologize. When it starts to become an over apology, you're apologizing for things which, honestly, why? And you're just consistently doing it. It's becoming too often, even when you've done nothing. It's triggered by that fear. You're feeling that woga. Okay, if I don't okay, well, yeah, okay, I'm so sorry, that it's time. It's time to just have a chat. It's time to just go like, okay, why do I feel the need to pander? Like, why do I feel the need to placate this person to this extent, right? Why am I apologizing even when I'm not wrong?
And sometimes there's also the fear of abandonment. Like, so many people have left you and given up on you and not chosen you. So you're constantly scared that the next person you're going to let in, the next person you're going to fall in love with, will eventually leave. And it's a valid fear. And it may manifest in you acting like you do not care about everything that happens. But you're just a little girl, you're just a little boy, scared of being abandoned. But it should not be the burden of the other person to solve that, to fix that. Sometimes it's all about self-reflection. Let's stop making our problems and our insecurities and our fear the other person's problem, because it's unfair to them. Why don't you deal with that? Why don't you figure out, what about people leaving triggers me like this? Why do I, even act of people moving on with their life, why do I perceive that as them abandoning me? Why, when somebody moved out of the country because they got a scholarship, why did I not see it as my friend got a scholarship, I am so happy for her, instead of you saw it as she left me in this godforsaken country alone? Change perspective. Why do I see it as this instead of this? And it will really feed, or just show you what is lacking, show you what you need to fix, or show you what you need to work on.
Another one. Oh my God, I love your dress. You're like, oh, you're just saying that. Oh no, I really do love your dress. Oh, thank you. I like yours too. Okay. Versus, I really like your dress. Oh my God, thank you so much. I love the way it looked on me, and I appreciate that you saw that in me, that you saw it and you appreciate it as well. Whenever someone gives you a compliment, you're so beautiful, you're like, oh no, you're just saying that. I can't, the way I have, and the way my hair is, and then, and the way why are you finding it difficult to accept compliments? It's simply, you don't feel it, you don't see it in yourself, you don't realize it, and therefore whenever someone brings it up, it's almost like a shock factor of, no, they're lying, there's no way, because you don't believe it. That is often a sign of just no self-esteem or very low self-esteem. So be mindful of that stuff.
And if there's something that really I don't like witnessing in relationships, is that power dynamic, that power difference that is caused by one person putting the other on a pedestal, where one person feels like they're not good enough for this other person. And trust me, when you put yourself in that position, the other person will respond like that. If I'm in your life and I act like I am so happy to be here, I do not deserve to be here, I'm also going to start to feel like maybe you do not deserve to be here, because why are you acting like that? And that shift is usually so apparent to everyone around you apart from you. You worship the ground they walk on. You always do everything to appease them. You always act like you're never good enough for this person, and they act like it. They say, yes, I agree. And it is so obvious, and it is not obvious to you. So if somebody ever just approaches you and asks you, how do you feel about being in this relationship? They're not being a hater. They're not trying to come in between y'all. It's just something they've seen, and maybe you're not seeing it, and they're bringing it to your attention.
Yes, sir. And then people often say, I'm not confrontational. I don't like conflict. I avoid conflict at all times. But are you avoiding conflict, or are you afraid of rejection? Are you avoiding conflict, or are you just trying to keep the peace in the relationship so that no one leaves? You know, think through what you're saying. Whenever you're saying, "Oh, I don't, I don't like to bring stuff up often," is it because you're afraid that if you bring it up, they will not understand you, and therefore you want to preserve your own inner thought? Like, just be mindful of how what you're feeling as you're doing the thing, right?
Yeah, and the one we've talked about it countless times is compromise, compromise, compromise. If you find yourself always compromising, either as Kathame said, to keep the peace and not ruffle feathers, or you're just compromising and letting somebody disrespect your boundaries continually, it could be a sign of low self-esteem.
Yep. Oftentimes you find that when you're in a relationship, you feel very validated. Like something, when anyone else could tell you something, but then if your person tells you something, that's when it really rings true. You know, it feels like your identity can really be created or crumbled by this person and their opinion of you. Make sure that you're not tying too much of your value in the approval of your partner or the validation from your partner. You need to be happy within yourself. You need to be happy within yourself and comfortable and confident within yourself, so much so that it is just an added bonus when they give you this validation, when they give you this appreciation, when they show approval for something. It needs to be an additional thing, not that there is a deficit and therefore it needs to be filled. So be mindful of that as well.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, always choose you, always do what makes you happy. Just take care of you first before you take care of other people, because other people do take care of themselves, okay? So that is all I will leave with. My name is Turife. Have a lovely weekend.
Yeah, don't forget that you expressing your own needs or seeking support or seeking attention or wanting a change or feeling like you need to ease a burden is a problem. Make sure that you are voicing out these things, because at the end of the day, it's a two-person job. It's a two-person relationship. You're not alone, therefore you need support. That's my final 2 cents. See you next week. Enjoy Eid.